Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Pro Lok EWP-135-S. This is a stainless steel wraparound plate. Let's remove it from the packaging and take a closer look at it. And here it is. Okay, this is a door reinforcing plate. It's a U-shaped channel that will slide over the edge of the door. At least that's the concept, and will allow you to install a lock set over a door that, why would you use a U-shaped door reinforcer over a door that may be damaged, cracked, otherwise compromised, but not to the point where you're going to replace the door for whatever reason. Cost could be the door is difficult to replace in terms of what it is made of, and adding a large plate is the lesser of two evils. You could also be converting from one lock type to another, and you're not going to replace the door. You might have this scenario, I believe, for this client is that they had a lock and a deadbolt, and what they've gone to is a single lock set that will give them the ability to close off the deadbolt prep, because now this lock set is an electric latch retraction or electric control over the trim, and rather than leave the deadbolt in place, they've decided to pull that lock off and then just cover up all of it with a U-shaped channel. Another reason this might work for you really well would be you might have, you may have had a mechanical or electronic access lock on a door for many years. That lock is no longer available. You're replacing it with a new lock that will give you the same original functionality, but now you have all these function holes that are in odd places. You might take a plate like this and then create your own function holes. Whatever the case, you might need something off-centered like this. And I am thinking of another lock that was installed above, or I'm thinking of a lock that is going to occupy a lot of space above the primary hole. And that's probably where you're going to use this type of plate. So the EWP-135 is representative of this item, its size, and all of its dimensional properties. So first of all, it's 14-inch tall, and then it is 5-inch wide. And really, when they say the width, they're kind of measuring from the inside here, and that's where that 5-inch comes in a little bit more accurately. You can tell that the overall is a bit greater than 5-inch, but you're going to have a usable 5-inch space on your door if we're measuring from the face of this, really. Now, it will also include the dimensions for the lock prep, and from the top of the plate down to the center line, we can see it's 10.5 inch, that it is going to be at 2 3/4 back set. That will be a 2 1/8 inch hole. That preparation in the edge is going to be 2 1/4 by 1 1/8 is what that will be. Okay, this is made of stainless steel. This white surface you see is indeed just a peel away protective surface on the face of the material. Okay. Now, screws are included. You'll get a total of 6. You're going to need 4 to hold the plate on the door on each side, and then you'll get 2 that you'll attach your latch bolt to this plate through these threaded insert nuts that are here, and you'll screw the latch bolt right to it so it becomes part of this plate, so that when you insert the whole unit down onto the door, your latch bolt is captive on the plate. And the reason that that's the case is if you're mitigating damage on the door, there may not be substantial or wood in that area where you would otherwise attach a latch bolt intact that would allow you to secure that unit, secure that to the door. So be mindful that that's probably why the way that is. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you was the thickness of the material. I don't see where they indicate to us the gauge of this stainless, but let's gauge that now. 0.031. So the material is, I don't know what what gauge thickness 031 would be. A 16 gauge is about 60 thousandths, or 0.06. So 0.030 basically is what this is. Now, let's take a look at the, let's first discuss how are you going to install this. What I do when I install these plates, and they can either be a drag, take time, and not take time, but they require proper preparation. Other times, not so much, but generally there's a fitting or an accommodation that needs to be done on the material. And when I've installed these, I will initially dry fit this on the door. Just see how the door works. Does the door still close? With this 30 thousandths of an inch plate attached to it, which will in reality be a little bit greater because it's not going to fit perfectly tight to the edge of the door. And then make my accommodations. You know, you might need to clear out some wood that is causing trouble with fitting it. If there was a break-in, someone kicked the door in, you might need to mitigate that problem first before you can put a wrap door reinforcer over it. You might need to go so far as to mortise the edge of the door to bring this flush to the edge of the door to bring it back so that you can have a condition where the door still closes. If your margin between the edge of the door and the jamb is already very tight, you might find adding this is not possible without some significant resistance when the door is going into the closed position. That's also a square edge plate that's on there, so if you have a beveled edge door, do be mindful that you probably need to make some accommodation in that regard. You could, without too much trouble, take a router and route the entire edge of the door so that this plate is brought down flush. That's certainly not, wouldn't be a difficult task to do. May not be what you have in mind installing this, but you might need to. If your gap is excessively heavy, 1/8 of an inch or more, this is probably going to fit without too much trouble. When I install the screws, I do like to skew them a little bit so that, you know, like in this orientation, if I'm going to exaggerate it, so that I draw the plate tight to the face of the door, and be sure to do that on both sides of the material as well. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the link below this video to the technical drawing, and we'll hop over to the product catalog as well. Okay, now this is the item that we're looking at in the site. That technical drawing is here, or at least it is now. It may be moved by the time you're seeing this video. And this is a line art drawing from the manufacturer, something that they provide should you want additional detail work on the material itself. Okay, is going to show you the location of the hole. They're giving it to us the opposite way in which I did. 3.5 inch from the bottom, minus 14 would be 10.5. I don't see where they give it. Yeah, they do. That back set to the outside of the plate is 2.79. Your back set's going to be 2.75, and that makes sense because they're measuring to the outside of the plate. Then that link to the manufacturer's catalog is from that link here to the manufacturer's page, where we can pull up the, I believe it's called Entry Armor is their catalog. There it is, Entry Armor. And when we pull that catalog up, we'll be able to search for the EWP-135. And by the way, the S stands for stainless. We pull that catalog up, and we search for it, and whether or not we scroll through the catalog or just search for it, we're going to find the EWP-135. And that's handy because it will allow you to get down to see, you know, what's going to work for me. You know, what plate do I need? So obviously, the dimensional properties is what is going to drive your decision. How tall of a plate do you need? How wide of a plate do you need? How tall of a plate? What sort of holes are going to come into play? You know, we've got the EWP-135, and then we've got the CTR version where it's the same plate. It's just this 2 1/8 inch hole is in the center of the plate. That may work better for you. It may be what you need. And once you determine the size, the width and height of the plate that you need, backset is going to be the next thing. If you're dealing with a 2 3/4 backset, well, you're obviously going to be working in this column. Then your door thickness, Okay, and they approach it then from here are your size options, and that may be the most appropriate way actually to approach it. What is your backside? How many holes, etc. Then as you continue to scroll through the catalog, lots of additional options on these plates. Always very nice to review all of the options. Now you'll see specialty plates like this that have all these odd function holes, and it's just basically for specific lock sets. So you might look at the EWP 320 and say, I have no idea what lock that is for. I don't either. This hole down here, it might be alarm lock. What is the EWP 320? Oh, okay. I was way off. It's for a best 93K lock. That would have to be, some sort of an electronic lock, perhaps. I'm not familiar with the templating of a 93K. I don't have it. I don't have that template memorized, but so on and so forth. Okay, so if you're dealing with a a very common lock, the Schlage Cobra, they don't make it anymore, but there are certainly lots of them out there. They have that 880 that I don't see shown here. As you scroll through the rest of the catalog, Pro Lok does more than just door reinforcing plates. They will get into latch guards as well, a very common item to go along with that material. This client, in fact, also ordered the 4 7/8 strike, the ESP 172, ESP-172. There it is on page 17. Okay, a typical 4 7/8 strike. And that catalog is handy. As you continue to scroll through, you'll find other ancillary products for this item as well. Let's wrap up this video. So we've talked about where you're going to use it, why, how you'll install it, the other options that are available. Okay, certainly a nice quality item. The name Pro Lok is synonymous, not so much for this material to a certain group of folks, generally locksmiths. They are known for their locksmithing equipment. They make a venerable key machine called the Blue Punch. That link below this video to the manufacturer's page will, if you were to click the product catalog, you'll see the core product line of what Pro Lok does, and it's primarily locksmith related installation aids. Pick sets, items that are used in the process of locksmith doing their work, supplies for the locksmith industry. And that key machine is a great example of a product that is in probably every shop of every locksmith that exists. Finally, if you have any questions on the Pro Lok EWP-135, one thing we didn't say is the other colors that are available. Let's take a look at that. I'm looking back in the catalog. I have it on my screen. EWP-135. They are showing that can be done in polished brass, which would be a solid brass-based material with a polished finish and a lacquer applied, or stainless steel. Those are the two options available on the EWP-135. Any questions on the EWP-135-S or any other Pro Lok product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.